Nós vamos iniciar o que vem ao longo do dia, o nosso mergulho na educação. E a primeira ideia, esse momento de agora, é realmente explorar um pouco o que é o Currículo Azul, esse movimento da UNESCO, né? A gente tem a questão dos currículos azuis e das escolas azuis. Nós temos a honra de ter conosco aqui, ao longo, já desde a semana passada, vai continuar com os jovens até segunda-feira, a Raquel Costa, que é a coordenadora do programa Escola Azul Global, a criadora do conceito Escola Azul. Nós, infelizmente, não tivemos presente a Francesca Santoro, que é a coordenadora da Cultura Oceânica na UNESCO, né, e coordena o Programa Global da Cultura Oceânica com todos. A Francesca, por uma razão pessoal, não conseguiu fazer a viagem, mas ela fazia questão de poder mandar uma mensagem, né, aos professores, gestores da educação aqui presente, aos participantes da escola. Então, nós fizemos uma adaptação. A Francesca, a apresentação dela, a Francesca gravou para explicar sobre o Currículo Azul, né, porque muitas vezes a gente fala tanto, mas ainda existem dúvidas. A Francesca enviou uma gravação sobre o Currículo Azul e ela, em seguida, entrará online para tirar as dúvidas de quem aqui está.
Hello, everyone. First of all my apologies for not being able to be with you in Brazil. I know you are having a great experience with my fellow colleagues, and you are, I'm sure, are taking advantage of the great experts and ocean literacy leaders that are there in Brazil. And let me also take this opportunity to thank Ronaldo, Professor Cristofoletti, for his leadership in the field of ocean literacy, and also for having organized this summer school and for having invited me. I know you've been learning a lot of things during these days in Santos, in Brazil, and I know you've been learning about blue schools, and today is the day of the blue curriculum. And I know I've been warned that there are some challenges in understanding, for example, what is the difference between blue schools and blue curriculum. So I hope that with this presentation, I'm going to be able to shed a light to help you, but of course, I'm going to also try to be connected with you later. So hopefully I can also reply and respond to some of your questions. First of all, let me give you a little bit of background. I guess you know that I'm the global coordinator of the Ocean Literacy Program at the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO. For those of you who are not aware of what it is, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, or the IOC, is the UN focal point for ocean science and ocean observation. It's part of the UNESCO organization, but it has what we call its functional autonomy, which means that we have our own member states. Currently, we have 152. At the last General Assembly in July, we welcomed 2 new member states in our family, but it is also the institution, the UN body, which was mandated by the UN General Assembly to coordinate the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. As you also know, and as most probably you've been learning over the these days, we are midway in a little bit more, actually, in the implementation of the Ocean Decade. So it's really now the time to also start preparing for the legacy of the decade and start thinking about what is going to happen after the decade. So it's a very, very crucial moment, very important moment, especially for ocean literacy, which is really gaining a lot of interest. It's a great momentum for ocean literacy, especially after what happened in Nice at the third UN Ocean Conference, where for the first time ocean literacy was mentioned with a specific and dedicated chapter in the political declaration. This is, I would say, a big success of the community because it was not present at all in the first draft, and then we defined under the leadership of the group of experts of ocean literacy of the IOC, develop a petition, and so we got to this great success. And also we had a dedicated pavilion in the green zone in the so-called Labaland, for those of you who were in Nice. So again, it's really a great momentum for ocean literacy. And the Blue Curriculum, of course, is one of our main objectives in the context of both what we do for the IOC in ocean literacy, but also what we do in the context of the Ocean Decade. I want to acknowledge the contribution for this development of this publication also of our colleagues in the education sector, and in particular of the International Bureau of Education, which is really in charge of curriculum reforms within the UNESCO system. So what are the ambitions for a Blue Curriculum? Of course, the inclusion of ocean literacy in school curricula to support stakeholders' informed decision to address ocean literacy through formal education. To prepare, of course, the next generation of blue professional for environmental challenges regarding the ocean. We know that the blue economy or the ocean economy is one of the most promising sector of the current very difficult global economical situation. The OECD published just before Nice a very interesting report that I invite you to read on what is going to look like the ocean economy for the next years, but also to empower governments, policymakers, and educational stakeholders. So it's very important to understand, and now I'm starting here to make the difference between what is a blue school program, blue school projects, and the blue curriculum. The blue schools is really a grassroots, although of course we are trying to embed this in the a formal system, but is a way for schools, for teachers to be really working on ocean literacy projects with local communities, and Brazil is doing a great job there. But the Blue Curriculum is really a way to include in a systematic and structured manner ocean literacy in the formal curriculum frameworks of the different countries. So this is the main difference that we are trying to promote here. Of course, as you can imagine, it's a longer process, it's a political process, but I think it's something that we can have the ambition for. Something that we need to work with. The blue schools are really instrumental, I think, to prove that ocean literacy really works well with schools and with the teachers and with the students. So I briefly mentioned that we as IOC have received the mandate from the UN General Assembly to coordinate the UN Ocean Decade, and ocean literacy, as I said, is really becoming a great pillar of I would even say the enabling factor for the success of the Ocean Decade. As you know, this is a decade of ocean science for sustainable development, but what we are trying to do with the decade is really to make sure that what is produced by scientists, by science, is not only used by different stakeholders, but it's really done in collaboration with stakeholders, it's done in partnership, it's co-designed with different stakeholders. Ocean literacy is part of the Ocean Decade. We publish at the very beginning, at the inception of the Ocean Decade, a toolkit, rather than a toolkit, like some guidelines identifying the potential role of ocean literacy within the decade. And also, of course, I don't know if you're familiar with, probably you've heard presentations in the last days about the Ocean Decade, which works around some challenges, and the challenges that are related to ocean literacy are Challenge 9, which is about skills, knowledge, and technology for all, but also Challenge 10, which is changing or restoring humanity's relationship with the ocean. And of course, the decade, as you know, aims to go from the ocean we have to the ocean we want. And the ocean we want to describe is described by 7 outcomes. And the 7th one is calling for an inspiring and engaging ocean. So, of course, I'm not going to go into the details of what is ocean literacy, because I guess you've been working on this over the last days. As well as some history of ocean literacy. It's really striking, and I know that Diana Payne is there as well, and of course she's one of the leaders of the ocean literacy movement, where it started in the US. So it's really important to recognize that this is a long process that happened 20 years ago, and it's amazing to see how it is evolving, how many more partners are on board, many more sectors. One of the things that caught my attention while I was in Nice was that, for example, a lot of people from the finance sector were calling for ocean literacy, for the importance of ocean literacy within their sector. So this is one of the changes that we are observing. So moving from the idea that ocean literacy is only related to formal education to the idea that ocean literacy really applies to the society as a whole. Again, also, I don't want to spend too much time in talking about the ocean literacy principles, because I guess you've been going through this in these days, but let's go really in the proposals that we as UNESCO are making for Blue Curriculum. I must say that this started in 2022, where when President Macron organized the One Ocean Summit in Brest, and during that event, our Director General, Madame Audrey Azoulay, launched a call to all our member states to include ocean literacy in the curriculum framework. So it's really like the endorsement from the top of our organization. As you know, UNESCO is in charge, is the UN organization who has not only a mandate in ocean science, but also in education, of course. So ocean literacy, it's being included. We've started to include ocean literacy and ocean topics into national educational strategies, and governmental authorities are starting to be more aware of the need of including the ocean within their curriculum frameworks. This is easier probably for countries like Brazil, who, as you know, last April announced in a wonderful event in Brasilia their commitment to include ocean literacy in their curriculum framework. But also like countries who are part of the SIDS, coastal countries. But what we are trying to do here is really to show that the ocean can be called as teaching tool. So it's we can talk about the ocean in so many different ways and in so many different disciplines. So it can be linked to many other frameworks like education for sustainable development, climate education, but also global citizenship education. So it's important that we use some of those hooks when we start talking with policymakers about the opportunities for creating a blue curriculum. Of course, as I said, the opportunities that can be created by a blue curriculum are the empowerment of governments and, of course, trying to really meet the ambitions of the Ocean Decade, promotion of informed decisions, because sometimes we see when we are in big international events or international forum, or when we are discussing treaty, like the one that has been discussed now in New York. I'm of course referring to the BBNJ, that maybe people who are participating in these discussions are not so empowered. And so probably they take their decisions not in the most informed way. So this is one of the other ambitions of the Blue Curriculum. Of course, we want to develop this initiative, as all the other initiatives that we develop within our ocean literacy program at the IOC, in a culturally relevant way for local context. And so we want, and that's another priority for the Ocean Decade, support the value of local and indigenous knowledge. And also the whole institution approach and cross-cutting curriculum topics. So this is very much linked actually to what the Blue Schools are doing. So it's not only about learning about ocean currents or ocean species, but it's really about engaging the entire school in this endeavor, and also showing that it is possible, and it's what we are proposing, to talk about the ocean in a cross-cutting way across different curricula topics, like not only science, of course, but art and literature and history and economics. So how to design a blue curriculum? Of course, it means integrating the integration of the ocean into different parts of the curriculum, such as objectives, attitudes, students, teacher tools, classroom activities, materials, skills, vocabulary, grammar, assessment. So it's a big endeavor, and as it is for all the curriculum reforms, and when we are trying to introduce a new topic in the curriculum. Of course, there are a lot of challenges, and some of the challenges are listed here. The curriculum challenge, of course, what are the curricula offering students in terms of ocean-related content? Very little, as we know, unfortunately, around the world. The teaching challenge, what is the current level of training that teachers have regarding ocean literacy and strategies for teaching students about the ocean? Very little, again, we know. Of course, this is a general statement, but we know that we should work more and more on teacher training. Resource challenge, what sort of learning material, media, and immersive learning experience are available to students? Here as well, we know that there are a lot of resources in English, a lot of resources coming from Europe, the US, Canada, but maybe there is still a big job to be done in developing resources available for teachers in different languages, but also, as I said before, developed in a way that values the local cultural context and local ecosystems and local ocean heritage. The mainstreaming challenge is how is improved knowledge of the ocean mainstreamed into social discussions outside of school. Again, this is also something that is evolving. We are currently undertaking a study at the IOC on social listening, trying to see on the web who is talking about the ocean, how is talking about the ocean, ocean literacy, how is this evolving. This is another very important topic. We know that the ocean is not so mainstream in the discussion outside of the school, so we should also work to improve that, because once this is part of what people perceives, and I know you've been also discussing the Ocean and Society survey that colleagues have developed. So it's important that people truly understand why it is relevant to introduce this topic in a structured manner into curriculum frameworks. Our proposal, when I say our proposal, I mean the UNESCO IOC proposal for the blue curriculum is based on a theory of change, and is based on these 4 elements that you can see here. So knowledge awareness, nature connectedness, values and attitudes and competencies. What we mean here is that, of course, knowledge is the base and the awareness is the base, but that's not enough. And we know that a lot of studies are showing that knowledge is not enough also to drive pro-environmental behavior or ocean-friendly behavior. So that's, of course, a big component of what we have to do, but it's just one of the components. Another very important topic is, of course, increasing nature connectedness. Of course, not all the schools can be close to the ocean, but we try to really promote the fact that, and we have been doing also here in Italy, in Venice, some pilot projects on merging the two approaches of ocean literacy and outdoor learning, because it's really important that students feel connected to nature and to ocean in this case. Values and attitudes, it means values and attitudes towards the ocean, of course. And this is very important because it should be developed with peers, with other students from other countries, or with their teachers. So it's really how we value the ocean and what are our attitudes toward the ocean, and also competencies. That's very important as well, because we want to empower students to become agents of change. And within the publication, the Blue Curriculum Toolkit, we have also really started to help countries and policymakers with the scope and sequence of a Blue Curriculum. We have considered different levels: elementary, middle, high schools, high school, and also how these. So it's a sort of matrix, let's say. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have these 4 components of the Blue Curriculum. So again, knowledge and awareness, nature connectedness, values and attitudes, and competencies, and how we can bring those in different levels of the curriculum, and how we can connect that to different disciplines like science, mathematics, physics, history, literature, biology, and biography. We've been trying also to give some examples in the context of our curriculum and our Blue Curriculum Toolkit, because we wanted also to give some insights to countries on how to do that. And we decided to use some concrete topics like plastic pollution, for examples, and we've been trying to show how what disciplines can be connected, in how to do that in different grades, and how to connect that to the different, or the 4 blocks of the theory of change. So, for example, when it comes to values and attitudes, or knowledge and awareness at the elementary school, we are expecting the students to be able to formulate questions about plastic, how plastic litter affects marine life, or the ability when it comes to middle school level to develop questions about the causes of plastic pollution and understand solutions. And when we go at high school, maybe become capable of identifying behaviors and human patterns which inform questions. Also, when it comes to the other elements of the 4 blocks of the theory of change for the Blue Curriculum, of course, we can see here that we always want, again, as I said before, the students to acquire capacity of understanding more, going at the source of the problem, and being capable, of course, depending on their grades and their maturity, but really that's in any case our objective, is to give people the capacity and the tools to understand better the issues, but also start thinking about being part of the solution. So how to implement the Blue Curriculum? It's it's possible to develop a pilot test, to do field work, to use the guidelines and tools. So it's really important to understand that, of course, we're not expecting that countries are starting from 0 to 100. This is a long process. It goes also with the analysis of what is currently there, what are the interests. One of the things that we learned from our colleagues in the education sector is that there is a lot of competitions for bringing new topics in the school curriculum. We talk about sports education or gender education, climate education, as I said before. So we think, after also some years that we've been trying to promote the Blue Curriculum, that one way is really to show that through the ocean we can actually tackle all of those issues. It's also very important that we show to countries how the ocean is linked to many other sectors within the society. For example, few people thinks about the fact that there is a strong connection between ocean health and human health. This is a new meta discipline which is becoming quite important. There was a recent study by the high level panel on ocean sustainability on how the ocean, both in positive way. You might have heard about the concept of the blue gym effect, or how much being close to the ocean positively affect our health, but also how many new pharmaceuticals are created from substances that can be found in ocean organisms. Of course, climate change, that's really easy, air quality, but also cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage. Let's, all things about how much the ocean is linked to, our traditions. Of course, this, varies from countries to countries, but there are thousands of stories that we can tell about, how much we are no matter where we live or where we come from, how much we are all connected to the ocean. And then, of course, economy. I've mentioned this before: blue growth, fishery, transport, tourism, and of course, last but not least, human rights and job creations. Some examples of the things that I've been just mentioning, and how we can take this ocean literacy concept and adapt them in national priorities. We've made examples of intangible heritage, and for example, creation of national holidays connected to the ocean. Again, I know that in Brazil this is already happening. There are other countries who have, for example, national days related to how much they are connected to the ocean. Blue growth, for example, blue economy, ocean economy, developing lesson plans about maritime professions. This is very much needed. And the more and more, for example, here in the European Union, we talk about blue skills, climate change, of course, incentivizing field trips that are including ocean restoration projects like mangrove planting, coral reef restoration. Again, also, this is very much linked to increasing natural connectedness and well-being. I think we've also discussed this before. It will be really important to, as I said before, to consider that this is going to be a long process. It's not going to be like something that happens overnight. It will take a lot of time. So it will also be important to consider that this is going to be like a cycle process that is going to be started. It will be important to evaluate the blue curriculum and revise or adjust ocean literacy topics and be as flexible and adaptable as possible. One other publication that we recently published is only a few months ago, in March 2025, is a policy brief, again for policymakers, in the context of our partnership with the European Commission, DG Maré, where we reviewed some existing practices and we also identified some priorities. These are the case studies that we considered. So it's of course mainly in Europe, because this was part of, as I said, of our partnership with the European Commission. But we also consider other countries like Brazil, Chile, South Africa, Seychelles, Japan. So we really went into a systematic manner into studying and looking at what is actually present in terms of ocean content in the curriculum frameworks of these countries. And then, of course, we made some suggestion in terms of policy priorities. So here are some of the main findings. Finding one is that the educational policy documents of the 9 sample countries make very limited references to ocean-related topics, even where such content is present. Explicit mention of the ocean are scarce. The second one is that great emphasis is found in references to term within the thematic cluster of environment and sustainability, and also secondarily in ecology and biodiversity and climate change. We also found out that ocean-related terms are most often found in relation to the environment and its environmental characteristics, and no reference to other specific characteristics are found. And lastly, that ocean-related terms are mostly found in documents related to social science, citizenships, physical education, and are virtually absent in natural sciences. So sometimes we study the space, we study other planets, but we don't study, or we don't talk enough about our own planet, ocean. So what could be some tools and strategies to advance ocean literacy in the curriculum frameworks? Of course, the curriculum integration, we've been talking about that. Also think about hybrid modalities and immersive technologies. There are colleagues really studying how we can use VR, AR to really also somehow help those students who are not living close to the ocean, teachers that are not living close to the ocean, but also because there are some security issues in bringing kids in nature. Although, we should also think about that and how we can solve those problems. New roles for educators and students, they should be really considered at the center of the work that we do, and also trying to promote even more international data sharing and benchmarking, because I think it's really important that we continue doing these type of analysis, that we favor international collaboration in this field, because in this way, we can create a positive change, because once, one country will have started the process, as Brazil, I'm sure it will be like inspiring for other countries to join. So some suggested policy priorities are to revise the curriculum, as well as learning and assessment methodologies, incorporate ocean literacy into teacher training programs, produce learning and teacher resources in the way that I was mentioning before, and build and share information by involving a wide range of stakeholders. You can download the Blue curriculum here, and here you can see our contacts. Don't hesitate, feel free to contact us to also learn more about what we do through our portal, oceanliteracy.unesco.org, which you will see we just launched a new version of the portal, which include a community component, a sort of like internal space for people working in this field. So I hope you will join us, and I also hope that I will able to join you live later on, so that we can engage in a discussion. Thank you so much to all, and have fun and have a great time in Brazil all together. Thank you.
Also, how can we really bring that for the daily teaching school, and how can we incorporate this Blue curriculum in the teacher trainer? So there is something about Blue curriculum and teacher training, and also monitoring this. What could you tell us about that?
Well, first of all, again, I'm also sorry I cannot be with you there. You have been missing me, but I've been missing you. So I hope the school is going well, the festival is going well. I'm sure about that. And thank you for the opportunity to be with you today, although remotely. These are all, of course, very important points, and I guess this is really where, and as I was mentioning at the beginning of the conversation, where the Blue schools and the Blue curriculum are, somehow going hand in hand, because I think the Blue schools is, as I said, is really, it's a way for teachers to start implementing the Blue curriculum. How to integrate that in the day-by-day teaching? I think it's important that we follow the approach that we are proposing with the Blue curriculum, which means always trying to find a way to link a certain issue or a certain topics to different disciplines. That's really important. We keep on saying this several times because we know, and I've mentioned that in my presentation, I know there is a huge workload for teachers. There is a lot of competitions for so many other topics, as I mentioned, other types of education. So I think it's important that the teachers find a way to use, again, as I always say, to use the ocean as a teaching tool. We can, I mean, of course, we presented probably the easiest example, which is plastic pollution, but we can find, you know, other examples of using a specific issue and tackling that issue from so many different disciplines. I think for me, that's the way to go. It's not trying to bring an additional discipline or an additional burden to the teachers, but it's really on the other way around, to use the ocean as a way to talk about gender equality education, as I said before, or health education or sport education. So I think for me, in the day-by-day work of the teachers, that's the way forward. In terms of including that in the teacher training, that is, of course, another very important topic. Again, and I think that's the way, I mean, the approach we're using all the time. Of course, there is a bottom-up and top-down approach, and work together in situations like this one, for example, in festivals, locally developed, or in summer schools for teachers, including training on ocean literacy. On the other hand, of course, it's very important that we keep on following the institutional Ministry of Education structure. I'm a big, I strongly believe in the fact there is not either or. I think we should do both, because working on a political level is very time consuming. It takes a lot of time. Politicians are changing. There is spoil system. So maybe you go 10 steps ahead and then you are going 5 steps behind. So I think it's important that we continue also doing, again, things like the one that you are doing now in Brazil with like Ocean Literacy Festival, and doing like more bottom-up work with teachers, but at the same time keep on following the official way, because I think it's important that we have the objective in ocean literacy training for teachers in a more structured manner. And also, and I think also in Brazil, you are really good at that, linking more what we do with higher level educational systems, I mean university levels. That's also varies from countries to countries, because in some countries you can become a teacher just with your like undergraduate degree. In other countries there are specific training, specific courses for people who wants to become teachers. So I think another way, and I've been thinking a lot about that because we don't work that much overall with higher education institutions, that we should work more with those institutions to try to introduce ocean literacy content into like teacher training at the undergraduate level.
Thank you, Francesca. You mentioned another 2 questions here. I guess by the end of this first answer, you already even touched one of the topics. There was, what would be the roles of the courses of oceanography helping to implement the blue curriculum? And might be other courses as well. And consider that we have other initiatives, like, for example, the green schools. So how can those actions work together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, as you mentioned, I've already started to mention that we need to work more with higher education institutions like oceanography courses, marine biology, marine science, marine environmental science, but also, again, as I said, this is not the case for all the countries in the world, but there are specific courses for people who want to become teacher. So I think we should also go there and try to introduce those topics related to the ocean in those courses. same thing for training, basic trainings in marine science and in oceanography. Also because I believe, and I would say thanks to the movement of the Ocean Decade, even the way in which we are thinking about oceanography or marine science is changing to introduce more this idea of human-ocean relationship, which is, of course, at the heart of our work on ocean literacy. Regarding the other initiatives like green schools or eco schools, education for sustainable development, as I mentioned, this is not so straightforward. I don't want to be. I want to be very transparent and honest with you. I'm always hesitant because I have this big fear that the blue will disappear in the green, as I always say. But at the same time, of course, it's important that at least we are aware. So, for example, within UNESCO, we are in discussion with our colleagues working on the Green Schools program, on the Education for Sustainable Development, to at least, as I said, raise awareness on what we are doing in the context of blue education, blue schools, and keep the doors open. But again, I'm a bit hesitant to include what we do in other bigger frameworks, because it's like, the other day I was thinking about what happened. I always say this story because I think is very illustrative. It's what happened when there was a discussion in New York about the SDGs, and a lot of people, a lot of countries were saying, well, we don't need a standalone SDG on the ocean because the ocean is cross-cutting. And then at some point, countries from SIDS, a group from the Small Islands Developing States, say, hey, our own existence depends on the ocean. So if you don't approve a standalone goal on the ocean, is as if you are not recognizing our own existence. So as we know, we are all dependent on the ocean. It's not only the countries, the SIDS countries. I think we should adopt this approach. I don't want to dilute the work on the ocean in other works, in other frameworks. I think it's important that there is a standalone, the same thing of a standalone goal of for the ocean, same thing for ocean, blue education, ocean education.
Thanks, Francesca.
That's my personal view.
Thank you. And as we are a little bit behind the schedule, what I would ask us now to close this session is to ask you if you can, you have an auditorium full of ECOPs from everywhere in the world, and also teachers, secretaries of education, now students arriving, they are coming in hundreds of them in the afternoon, actually. But what would be your message for them that are there in the field implementing the blue curriculum or planning the blue curriculum, or as ECOPs can work in different manners through the blue curriculum? Your final message for them.
My main message is always to work on the two levels, as I said before. Don't think that there is the main way or the right way for doing these things. So it's not, I hear a lot of people asking me, should we go for the official way or for the grassroots way? I think we should go both, and that's what I'm encouraging young people to do. And I think, and I know that it's very important, for example, for young people, for ECOPs, to get training on how to do policy advocacy. And here at the IOC, we're also thinking about how to help, maybe organizing really training for ECOPs on policy advocacy, developing very simple toolkits on policy advocacy. So don't forget about going for the official way. I think it's important because then this leads to a long-term result and impact. But on the other hand, continue on your grassroots initiative, because then it's going to give you those results of your grassroots are going to give you the arguments when you're going to do your policy advocacy work.
Okay. With that, I would like to say thank you so much, Francesca.
And happy to, I know some ECOPs already wrote to me, but really do not hesitate to to contact me. And again, I'm sorry if I cannot be there with you. I know some of you are expecting to meeting me there. So, but please, really, again, as I said, I already received a couple of messages and emails from ECOPS there. Do not hesitate to contact me, my team. We are here for this reason, to facilitate this work on a global level.
Thank you, Francesca. And I was to say exactly that, even if it haven't agreed on that, I would say I'm pretty sure that Francesca would be able for that, and even for the participants of the school, maybe we can next week, or even if on Monday morning here in Brazil, afternoon, if Francesca do an online meeting with the ones that want more about the education. We agree in the next hours how to make it, okay?
With pleasure, with pleasure.
So thank you so much,
With
Francesca,
pleasure.
for all the leadership on this process of the Blue Curriculum with your team, and to join us here right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Muito obrigada.